Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Juicy James Gaming, and I am here with another episode of Indie Game Wednesdays. First off, I want to apologize for there not being an episode last week. I ended up getting really busy, like on the Monday and Tuesday, which I usually record these, and I just didn't have time to record one, unfortunately. But I'm back with another one, and I'm so excited to be back. This is a Steam game. It's called Narcissu. It's a Japanese anime game, obviously. It's more of a storytelling game. Steam recommended this to me. It looked decent, so I thought I'd give it a try. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I actually have no... Oh shit, okay, this game's apparently about suicide, I'm guessing. Huh. Even so, I attended elementary school like all the others and during utterly tanned. June, shortly after my entry into middle school, the day after I ordered a swimsuit for use the next month, my first hospitalization. On a day just before the first semester midterms, on a day when the first drops of rain were so cruelly cold, falling from this to pure white of the overcast sky. Of course, the first time it happened, all my classmates came to visit me almost every day, and when I was released, they even came to my house on weekends to play. But that was only the first time around. A vicious cycle, hospitalization, releases, clinics, and before I knew it, even the classmates I once called friends turned into acquaintances, and then into strangers. As if, with every changing of seasons, I was being erased from their collective memory. It seems that all of those normal people, my very existence was an unpleasant fact. Have been erased. It's spent so many seasons, so many white overcast skies, without the one or need to converse with anybody. Sorry, I'm like talking over the voice. I probably shouldn't, but fucking I'm going to anyways. For that matter, my English textbook never changed from that a first year middle school student before the first midterms. And that is where my time seems to come to an end. 8 years later, early summer 2004, protagonist, summer flowing sweat, the gigantic electronic scoreboard in the driver's license examination facility lit up all at once. My eyes and everyone else's looked at for our respective numbers. 237, 237, and of some 8 columns of lit text. Sure enough, my examination number was shining in the midst. A nearly empty train car, perhaps thanks to the beautiful afternoon. Almost alone in that train car, I was heading back home from the examination hall. My left hand held a new traffic regulations handbook, and my breast pocket held my brand new driver's license. Yay, we got a driver's license! So now I've got a license as well. I muttered somewhat happily, and before there were no strong feelings behind it. I never particularly wanted to drive a car. I never particularly had any motive for it. It was just that my colleagues and the Technical Institute both recommended that I at least get a driver's license. I probably said that one word wrong, but fuck it. That night, when I told my parents that I had gotten my license, they merely replied with an "I see." Borrow the car just for a test run. They instantly and curtly said just one thing: no. While I didn't really want to drive the car or anything, the response was all too expected. Those were my parents for you. Next day, I awoke with chest pains and went to the hospital. Oh god. Sickness and I generally had nothing to do with each other, which is why I found the ER waiting room to be utterly boring. And just when I thought they were through examining me, they ordered an x-ray and some blood tests, then they left. And again, I was left waiting for a long time. I already polished off 3 volumes of Shonen Jump and was just about to start on a 4th when they admitted me to the hospital right then and there. and it seemed that my new license, which still lay snugly in my breast pocket, would have to wait a long time for its turn to come. Autumn 2004. Right around when the all too noisy cicadas had finally gone silent, I once again found myself in the hospital as per usual. Of course, it wasn't as if I had been there the entire time. I came and went, a futile cycle. Oh, my first surgery was a month before. After that, I started doing the 5-minute commute to and from the hospital by, I'm gonna say moped. I probably said it wrong, but fuck it. And from then on, I was hospitalized, discharged, ordered to the clinic, and hospitalized again and again and again. While I still had no clue what PET or ERISA stood for, in no time at all, several months had already passed by. As my appetite decreased, my medications increased, I could feel my own physical strength atrophying away. I think it's, I don't know. I kept imagining that my legs were getting thinner, but the needle of the weight scale readily informed me it's not just your imagination. And yet I kept looking on at myself with detached interest, as if it were happening to somebody else seen on TV or the like. It suddenly happened to my body. Nothing within me was telling me that it was real at all. And that's why, even though it was all happening to me, I kept looking on as if it were happening. When the Christmas trees had vanished from the streets, I was discharged home as a kind of year's end treat. It seemed like an exercise in total transience, but still, it made me slightly happy. I traveled back to a home I had not seen in a long time in the midst of a freezing rain. Strangely enough, my entire family was there. My parents, who had never so much as talked to me, came out to meet me, if with terrible still smiles. And my little sister, with whom I never had a pleasant word, had made my favorite cream stew and fried shrimp just for me. They made me sit at the table. They peeled tangerines for me. They were cruelly kind. It was an impressive display. At this point, a little thought occurred to me about my new driver's license, which was still stuffed away in my pocket. That perhaps things would end for the license without it ever having known any use. And surrounded by a trio of stilled, strained smiles, I kept that thought as if it were someone else's business. With disposition, there's a lot of big words in this fucking game. A new year began and I returned to the hospital, but on this day, instead of my usual 4F room, I ended up in a conference room of sorts. They took me there. And then my father and the doctors had a little talk. I joined in while they talked to me. So this was their so-called announcement. They said in a terribly roundabout fashion, but they told me that I was going to die. I see. It was the only thing that left my mouth from beginning to end. And the doctor's ballpoint pens flew across paper as if in response to my words. Those were probably hospice enrollment procedures, businesslike to the last. My father was the same. So it's this simple, was the only real thought I had. That day I was transferred from 4F to 7F, from a 6-person room to a private room. It was a little different from the other wards, this 7F. First of all, the floors were sparkling clean, and second of all, the ceiling was higher than I'd ever. The rooms were very nice, and had large windows from which the warm daylight streamed in as if by design. But the windows only opened a little. I tested them out, and my head would just barely fit out of one. The color of my ID bracelet had changed as well. The bracelet that I had worn ever since that first hospitalization, the one that had my name and blood type recorded on it, to white. A white vinyl bracelet, a window that would not open more than 15 centimeters. The TV programs celebrating the new year were still playing when I was transferred to the 7F. And it was at the dawn of that very year that I met her for the first time.
Narcissus.
What are you saying? This game isn't really what I thought it would be. It's mainly a story game, which I don't mind. I like story games. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this episode right here. I'm not sure if y'all enjoyed it. If you did, I'm sorry. If you did, hey, cool. Because this game, from what I remember reading the reviews for this game, it's a very sad game. I'm guessing it has to deal with suicide, which is like the beginning of the game. It said like it showed the statistics of suicide. But apparently we're dealing with a girl who's been very sick since she was young, and now she's been told she's gonna die. So that's actually very sad. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.